Well, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Listen to a little George Gaiman. Like George Gaiman stuff. It's very smart dude. So I am headed on down to my local coin dealer. I sold a vehicle not too long ago, and I'm gonna leave the funds that I got for it in the auto account, or I call it the vehicle account. Essentially like what I buy all my vehicles out of. Kind of mixes with my toy account, but not really, because it's more like vehicle replacement. If I need injectors for this truck or whatever, I typically keep it there. But with this part of it, we decided that we'll probably put it towards a new vehicle at some point in time. We have no plans of buying a new vehicle at this point in time. New, used, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not getting any vehicles this year. So I'm gonna run down to my local coin dealer because it's a small sum. And in my state, if I spend more than $500, I don't have to pay any taxes. Or if I, invest, I guess. I really just swap them. I just swap them like some fiat currency for some silver. But being that I don't have any plans of buying a new vehicle for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, I'm gonna put it into silver just so it doesn't erode my purchasing power. Some of it I leave in cash, but most of it I move into silver. And so I'm gonna head on down and go see my buddy. I recommend you guys have a place in town where you can buy small amounts of silver at. I mean, I could theoretically sell or buy large amounts there too, within reason. Anything large, a brokerage that I sell underneath, Miles Franklin, might be your best bet because of their pricing is very competitive. Compared to like a small local dealer. But being that I'm spending like $500, it doesn't really make sense to go through the brokerage. It makes more sense just to run on down to the local coin store, say hello to my buddy Tim, see how he's doing. And I'll probably buy, I typically just try to buy as close to the spot price as possible. Maybe I'll spend an extra $1 or $2 an ounce if they've got maples, or if eagles are out of favor. Right now they've been very, very popular. I have plenty of eagles. The nice thing about eagles is if you look at them, on them they'll say $1, because that's what a dollar used to be. It was an American eagle. And theoretically they won't get confiscated at some point in time if things ever go down and your government does, like if you go true Justin Trudeau, and they start coming house to house with the stormtroopers, which is only funny because I think it's true. Having currency or junk silver, penny or dimes. And you guys know I collect the copper pennies as well. They can get a bag of those. I'd buy a bag of that for sure. But dimes, quarters, anything pre-64, 63, it's got like 90% silver in it. And I'm a fan of those because it's good to offload. And I think that's what's important if you guys, and I think everybody should just save some money in silver. Number one, it's cool to have. You put it in your hand and you're like, man, there's something to this. It's like something spiritual about this. It really is real. It's on the elemental chart. Two, it's a speculation. It probably will go up in value or maintain your purchasing power, and it typically lags in maintaining your purchasing power, but you can go back through history and look at what a gallon of gas costs in the 30s, what it costs in the 50s, what it costs in the 90s. It doesn't matter what it's going to cost in the late 20s or the late 30s. In our case, it's going to ratio out. About one dime is going to equal you about a gallon of gas. I believe it's one dime. So, nonetheless, these things ratio. It's important to buy. It's also outside of the system. So, one, yeah, you could have cash outside the system. Your house could burn down. You could lose your cash. That would be real tragic. But also, they can just print it. So, if you buried a bunch of, $100 bills in 1970, it would not be the same that it is today. And so, that's a factor. And but if you had buried a bunch of silver or whatever, it would be. And so the other thing is, they can't really lock you out of it if you have possession of it. Now, if you have a ton of it, there are great vaults, like the broker I sell underneath. They've got an awesome vault option, and if you travel a lot or you want to loan against it, because you can loan against it, there are options. But I'm a huge fan of of knowing where it is. It doesn't have to be like at your house, but you need to have it, because if you need it, like if you need it. But the biggest reason that I'm a fan of it is I don't spend it. Like if I have cash, like right now, man, I'm really wanting a GoPed right now. And if you guys don't know about GoPeds, like I messed with them when I was a kid, and man, I love GoPeds. I love GoPeds, and I haven't had one for a long time. I got on their website the other night, and I'm like, I need to get a GoPed. Well, I don't have to worry about spending my silver, right? Like I'm not spending my silver at these prices. I'm not really spending it unless it's like my rainy day fund. I would trade silver for other assets that I deem to have higher value, but at this point in time, I think it's like the most undervalued thing out there. And so until I see any reason to, I'm gonna hold on to it. But it's a great form of a savings account, because my cash, I tend to find a spot for my cash. But with my silver, I tend to like not. I just don't. So nonetheless, past this truck here, you know, those big trucks trying to pull out in the middle of the road. Like, come on, bro, you gotta let me go. But yeah, developer relationship. You'd be amazed how many local coin dealers there are. And if you don't know where to go or whatever, like I would be happy to help you. But it typically on anything less than like $1,500, you know, you're best to go local, in my opinion. And anyway, I would encourage you guys to build a position. If you haven't built one, the best way to do so is a little bit at a time, multiple buys, not all at once. I had a buddy who backed it up at like, I don't know, 24 bucks, then it went down to 22 bucks. He was like, oh, should have waited a minute. And it's like, yeah, that always happens. You know, it might go from 24 to 30. It might go from 50 to 100 and then come back to 50. I think once it goes to 50, I don't think it's ever coming back, in my opinion. So buying it here, hopefully I'll be able to buy it today at like, I don't know, maybe I'll be able to get out of here for like 50 or 30 bucks a coin, because what you have, or what you need to understand if you're new to buying silver, is that there are premiums. So the spot price is the commodity price, which is really the paper price. But the premium is like the fee I'm going to pay to the coin dealer here. So on US Eagles, for example, it might be like $6 above premium or above spot. You know, that might be the premium price. On smaller stuff, it might be $3 or $4, and that's about normal. You buy a huge quantity of some off-brand stuff, meaning it's not a sovereign, which means it's not like a nation. You know, it's just some independent mint. You might get down to that $2 range, depending on where you're at. But regardless of what you buy, you got to think about how you're going to offload it. I like the smaller junk silver. It's easy to offload. If you ever need to buy eggs, or if you ever need to buy fuel, or you ever need to buy any of that type of stuff, it's easy to sell. It really is. And get the local currency to buy what you want to buy. Or, I don't know, most people aren't buying more than $200, $300 transactions. So if you buy bars of silver, it's great for long-term wealth preservation. And for example, if I sell some real estate, I will certainly use some of those funds to buy bars, because I'm going to rebuy real estate. I'm going to keep it in my real estate account. But by and large, I like 1 ounce, I like 5 ounce, occasionally 10 ounce. Those are good, in my opinion, for barterability, for trading. You know, if I was going to go buy a truck or whatever, and I had 10 ounce bars, might be good enough. You know, 100 ounces or whatever. Could obviously do it with smaller coins, but smaller coins are better for like smaller purchases, and most purchases are smaller. In all honesty, you go to the doctor, you get a checkup. Like, I'm a big fan of like home health and things like that, and those people will definitely take that stuff. And you know, it makes sense. I pulled my arm out of socket this past summer. Went to my buddy's house. His wife's a doctor. She was off hours, and he's like, "Yeah, man, she'll check it out." My other friend was a chiropractor. He had already put it in, but I went to the doctor lady to make sure it was like good. But you know, for things like that, it's just nice to have, and it's a good, you know, it's just a good thing to have. You'll be able to trade farmers. I'll tell you, I got a cattle farmer next to me. He's got cattle out on 700 acres. You can trade him silver for cattle. I can tell you that. He accepts it. He'll sell you a cattle. You can divide it up with a couple of your buddies and freeze it. You know, and that is definitely the way to buy meat, like, for sure. But anyway, all those things you have to consider. All those things you got to consider. Buy as close to the spot price as you can, in my opinion. There is some reason for buying something like a Canadian maple, for example. Now, I'm not a fan of the Canadian banks right now, but you can use that to loan against for Canadian property. Now, at this moment in time, I'm not interested in buying Canadian property, but long term, I really would love a lake house up that way. And so you know, sometimes I buy Canadian silver for the lake house, like literally for that reason. And I'd like to have like a little farm thing going on there, and I don't know. Canada's so abundant in natural resources. There's so many things to do up there as far as like logging and even mining operations on it, or all sorts of stuff. But anyway, I buy Canadian silver with the intent of going to Canada one day and probably using it. US silver, likewise, it's, you know, it's recognizable. People feel real comfortable with it, but for the most part, I just like as close to the spot price as I can possibly get. And I think about how I'm going to offload it. Like when I go to offload, what's it going to look like? You know, 100-ounce bars have a roll, but when I go to offload those, I'm probably buying something bigger, like property, maybe a car or a truck, but probably not buying groceries with it. Let's hope not. Probably, you know, it's just, there's less you can do with it. Larger bars though, you know, like the Comex bars, or what they call Comex bars, 1,000-ounce stuff, those have value to me, because at some point in time, it's like I could see the value of being able to cash this in on a new, you know, system, new currency system, or take it to a mint, have minted into smaller denomination, maybe dime-sized pieces with a brand on them of my choosing at that point in time. So those have value, but different ways to offload. When in doubt, just go with the 1 ounce stuff. Can't go wrong with the 1 ounce, in my opinion. But you can lower your premiums by buying in bulk, by buying 5 ounce, 10 ounce, 100 ounce, etc. So anyway, guys, hope you got some value out of that. If I can ever help you build a silver position, please reach out. My email's below. Please reach out. I would love to jump on the phone with you and get you going on building that, because I think it is a core base part of a portfolio. I think it is like literally, it used to be in textbooks, but I think it's got to be like 10% minimum of your liquid net worth, like in your portfolio. You ought to consider backing it up with precious metals. At this point in time, I'm working more towards like a 25% holding, because I think we're getting more towards a reset like event, whatever that may look like. And I want more insurance in my portfolio there. But nonetheless, guys, until next video, thank you for the likes, thank you for subscribing to the channel, sharing it with a friend that maybe needs to hear this or learn from this, and I will see you down below in the comments. Peace.